Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here. Thanks for joining me, and we're going to do another watercolor painting in the fast and loose style landscape painting. Right now I'm putting on just some water on the top, which happens to be kind of dirty. Sometimes that can work out in your favor. You get a nice little tint of color there. It almost has a yellowish cast to it. And I'm just too lazy to change the water in my cup. If it's real dirty, a lot of times it'll be green. Then you almost got to change it depending on what you're painting. Sometimes I just, let's see what happens. So now I've taken some yellow ochre, and I've just come in from the top and sides. And now I'm going to do something. I don't use this color enough, really. This is alizarin crimson. This is the core brand, which is permanent alizarin, so you don't have to worry about the light fastness so much. If you're using Cotman, that's alizarin crimson hue, which is a combination of a couple of different pigments. You got to watch that with alizarin because it can fade. There are some brands out there you got to check the light fastness of. So I've left a little light opening above. And I'm coming in with a little alizarin mixed with some little ultramarine blue, almost kind of a purple color. And now I'm going to darken that up even more and go more to the blue side. And I'm just going to pop in a little bit of sky over the top. And now you can see we've got a nice brightness coming from that yellow space there, that hole in our cloud. Just going a little bit darker even. And now I'm coming in with another variation of the same. I haven't washed the brush yet. Adding a little more alizarin, and now we're kind of going more to the purple side. So everything you see here is a combination of ultramarine, alizarin crimson, and maybe just a slight bit of Payne's gray if I want to get it darker. Now this is the brush that I have here is the Frank Clark brush. I like how soft it is, and I like to use it for blending. So now I've put the sky in, I've done a little bit of blending. While it's still wet, you can do that, and it just kind of smooths things out. I'm coming back with now the medium hake. Just adding a little bit more alizarin in there, blending it a little bit. Did a light touch, just a light touch. I mean, very careful not to close up that hole there. If I do, I could always open it a little bit, but don't really want to lose that. Lately, I've been in sort of a mode of just trying to get a lot of color in paintings. There's a pretty good segment of people that really like a lot of color. I tend to try to paint things a little more how you'd see them realistically. I'm going to open this up a little bit more. Like I said, it's still wet. Just taking the smaller hake and just dabbing away some of that. I hope everyone's doing well with their art and their painting. So the bottom section of this paper is totally dry, which will help us here shortly. You'll see with the dry brushing. Now again, I'm taking a very strong, we got ultramarine blue. Again, there's a little alizarin. We're keeping within the same spectrum of colors so that everybody kind of blend. There's a theme almost. I've been kind of going in the direction of using some different colors. You don't want to get too stagnant and just keep doing really the same thing all the time. Now you'll notice there's really not much water on my brush. When I press this against the paper, you'll see some residue is coming off. And this works in your favor if you really want some sparkles in the paper. You really want to get that sparkly effect. If you're not sure you have enough on your brush, take an old scrap piece of paper and try it first. I'd say your brush probably has to have about 30% moisture on it. So again, I'm coming across, I'm being careful to leave some white behind. And the idea is that that light from above is giving us some of that light below. If you're selling your art, it's a good idea to have a variety of things, colors. People look at colors, they look at subject matter. Some people just want pictures of barns. Some people are looking for colors that might go in their room a certain way. I'm going to put a little more foliage on this side. This is put a tree in here, almost like a pine tree. Again, the same color scheme. I've been really leaning toward the fan brush. My go-to brush for these kind of trees. So most of my paintings I'll use the large hake, the medium or small hake, a number 3 rigger, and a fan brush. And then I might use another variation of the hake like the other one I showed you that for blending or smoothing. But any soft, very soft brush will do. And I'm going to give that a little spray. And the reason why I spray things like that is sometimes if I go dark on something, I don't want it to dry as just like a solid mass, especially if there's like Payne's gray in there. It'll really look like a dead space, and it'll actually even reflect light off of it when it's in a frame. So now I'm going to go off to the side here, and I'm going to put in a nice little tree trunk. Put a little shadowing underneath the foliage using the fan brush. Again, a lot of times when I do these, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a little idea in my mind, but I like to just kind of wing it. And I don't know, my process, I've had people ask me about the process, especially when you're coming from imagination, is the process is to put a background on of some kind, sky, middle ground, foreground. And then when you see that, try to figure out what would go in good there. Mountain scene, landscape scene, that kind of thing. And then just take what you know out of your head, and a tree, foliage, Some of it is very similar. I mean, there's how much different landscapes can you do, really? But the idea is to have a good time, 30 minutes to an hour a day to take your mind off of all the craziness that's going on out there. So I've put a little cad yellow hue on the brush, and I'm mixing that in while it's wet. And you can see all of a sudden it just really starts to pop there. Surprising when you are working wet and wet, and when something dries, and just how neat it looks. I'm just taking some darks here. I kind of just counter change, looking for ways to dark light, to make other areas stand out. So a little bit of a land mass there. And now I'm going to come in while all that other stuff's drying and just take my number 3, and I'm just going to flick in some branches. Make a very inky consistency of Payne's gray, burnt umber, ultramarine blue. Depends on how dark you want it. If you want the tree to really stand out against the background, then go darker. Like here I've gone a little bit darker. It's not as brown or as ashy as some trees. So you really get a good contrast here between that light to the left and then you've got the really dark tree. And you see the light coming in behind the almost pinkish hue there. Really gives some atmosphere. It sets the tone. And that's really what I go for in a lot of my paintings, if you're talking about the process. And I wanted to get back to the process, but when I'm doing things from my imagination, it's almost like I'm fixing the painting as opposed to painting it, because I don't really have a overall plan, which is not the best way to go about it, but I'm having fun. That's what's important. But when I go in, I'll do something and then, okay, that's not right, and I'll fix it by some way. And I think that's because early on I kept trying to like paint and, you know, reverse engineer what some things were being done, and then go in there and I experimented so much. I saw what limits you could really push. Putting a little yellow cad over the top and a little bit of alizarin just to get some warm colors in there. Ultimately, what I'm doing isn't, of course, the traditional or classic watercolor. It is a combination of that and some heavier colors. For me, acrylic paint dries too fast. I know there's ways to change that, but I'm not a fan of acrylic and how it looks. It's kind of shiny. I do really like how oils look, but I don't have a space to really paint oils and clean brushes and things. So that's why I ultimately settled on watercolor. Plus, I really like how you can have things just happen. So again, I'm dabbing in, and as I've said in previous videos, cad yellow is one of those colors that you can go in over the top. You're supposed to go from light to dark, but if you've already gone dark, you can go over the top with cad yellow. And you can get some really neat effects with it. Ultimately, it's all about, really, at the end when you finish painting it, are you pleased with your painting? And know this, you'll never be 100% pleased. I rarely am. I mean, there's always something I feel like I want to fix, or this or that. So this area here has dried back quite a bit. That's one of the things alizarin tends to do, is it does dry quite a bit. So I'm just going to pop in a little more color of that. And again, I don't want to disturb that background. We've got a nice nebulous thing sort of happening back there. So one thing I hate is when you have one area of the painting that is actually the good thing and you blow it. Happens. It happens. I just did one today that I was questioning. It's like, maybe I should have left it the way it was. You know, we're always reaching down. So now I'm taking some of the alizarin and some of the other things, and I'm just using a sort of mostly dry hake, just dabbing in some leaves on that tree. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, you should have just left the branches. And you might be right. Little yellow, little cad yellow on the end just to highlight the branches. The reason I did that is because just you have the dark next to the light. I don't know, I'm a leaves on a tree kind of person. Again, that area is a little dark, so I give it a little spray. You can flick it with a toothbrush. I'll do another video where I show a lot of different texture type things you can do. I've had a lot of people ask me for more content because a lot of people are on lockdown and people are looking for stuff to watch. I'm not one of those people. Well, I am, but my work, I have to still work, so I wish I was. I wish I had more time for painting. I need the excuse. But I'll try to get in some more paintings over the next week here. I've got a few in the pipeline. I've just got to go in and narrate them and edit them and all that kind of good stuff. And it's time consuming. I wonder if anybody would be okay with just watching the video with no narration. Is that enough, or is my tutorial really key? I don't know. I almost have to narrate these when I do them because there's always some kind of noise going on wherever I am. One day I have this dream I'll have like this recording booth and I'll have like my easel in there and I could just go in there and shut the door and that's it. And probably never come out again, but so you can see now we've got this buildup of the two sides and the red with the color coming through, and we've got the light source and sort of this lighted path, lake, river, whatever you want to, whatever you see there. It's a nice sparkly area. Pulls you down into it. I'm taking my Micron 05 pen. I rarely paint the birds in there because my hand shakes too much. I'll just pop in a couple of birds. And I'm just going to flick in some color here. Just taking my fan brush. Usually like to take a toothbrush, but I don't think I brought it with me today for this painting. On my lunchtime here. So some alizarin crimson. It's a good way to add some random leaves other than tapping it with your brush. I hope everyone enjoyed this painting. If there's something I'm not covering or something I'm leaving out, I notice every once in a while I'll see some thumbs downs on the videos, which happens to everyone, but you're always wondering, what did I miss, or just something didn't like. Notice now we're zooming in here and you can see the nice light. You can see the sparkles going across and the little flicks of the rigger brush just giving some little sticks and things. And that's it. I hope this nice, simple, colorful painting made you a little happy today, a little distracted. And that's it. Well, I thank you again, everyone, for watching my videos, subscribing. It means a lot to me. Your comments mean a lot to me. And I hope you guys stay healthy and you paint as well as you'd like. Have a great day.